Hi, everybody. It's Margot Levette here. I want to introduce to you a special edition episode that is coming from a brand new podcast, Intentional Podcast, which was created for the author that wants to come on and talk about their book, for the entrepreneur who wants to introduce their product, their service to all of us. Why was it created? Because many of you have reinvented yourself and now you need a platform so that you can tell the world about what you're doing. So, if you want to be a guest on Intentional Podcast, go over to my website, margotlevette.com, fill out the guest form. Let's have a conversation. And in the meantime, be sure to give me feedback. What do you like about the show? What don't you like about the show? I need everybody's support on this. Tell me what you're thinking. All right, bye-bye. Well, hello, everybody. Marco Levette here, Intentional Podcast, where authors and entrepreneurs talk about their books, their products, and their services. I have a question for you, rather a thought. You know, professional counselors, they are licensed to help others heal from anxiety, trauma, all those issues, substance abuse. But have you ever wondered who helps the therapist with such situations? So, to answer some of those questions and give us some insight, today's guest is Jacqueline Rech, and she's a licensed therapist, author of the book From the Inside Out: Therapist Confessions of Courage, Strength, and Hope. Welcome, Jacqueline.
Thank you, Margot, for having me.
I tell you, this is a real treat. You're going to answer some questions that I have always had, most definitely. But let's dive right in. Jacqueline, can you tell us a little bit about your journey to writing your book?
Yes, actually, this book, the idea for this book came to me while I was in session with one of my clients. I worked in substance abuse treatment for a long time, and this was about, I don't know, 10 years ago. And I thought, I wish that I could just share a little bit about my story right now, right here, right now, because this person is so special and their experiences have been, so traumatizing that they feel alone. And I feel if I could just share with them, they wouldn't feel alone. And there's a lot of complications with that line of thinking as a therapist when you face it up against our code of ethics and the needs of the client in that moment. And it just wasn't an appropriate time for me to do that, but I had that desire.
Mhm.
And so, fast forward 10 years, and I am now a stay at home mother to a 1 and 3 year old. Well, 9 years, I guess, last year. And I'm just, serving my purpose in providing care for these children. And I'm literally cooking scrambled eggs on the stove. And this little voice in the back of my head was like, remember that book you wanted to write?
Mm.
And I was like, yes, God, is that you?
Uh-huh.
And that, that thought became louder. And it was like, why don't you ask someone if they would like to write it with you?
Mhm.
Now's a good time. Literally, I was just cooking my scrambled eggs like I do every morning for these babies. And um, the thought to start writing this book happened. It wasn't the best time. I was 5 months postpartum. I was experiencing some debilitating postpartum anxiety and depression at that time. But I am a woman of faith, and so I thought there was no harm in reaching out to see if someone wanted to write with me. And within 36 hours, um, I had a therapist come alongside me and a publisher.
Wow.
So I was going to be writing this book whether I was ready to or not.
That's what I'm talking about. The timing is not always right, but when it does become time, everything falls into place. I just want to ask you about you spoke about looking at a client and reflecting upon their struggle and where they were in life. The book, From the Inside Out, Therapist Confessions of Courage, Strength, and Hope. Any of the are all of the stories reflective? Do they represent clients, or do any of the stories tell of the struggles of some therapists themselves?
Well, I spent 6 months searching and recruiting therapists from all over the country,
Mhm.
and they are master's and doctoral level therapists. So they're in private practice. They're the ones teaching other people how to become therapists. And these are the people that reached out to me in response to my call for submissions. And out of 100 interested parties and 40 essay submissions, the stories in the book are 11 therapists sharing their own personal stories of tragedy and triumph using their faith, their community resources, and engaging in their own therapeutic process, and really sharing the rawness and realness of what that looks like for a therapist so that the listener or your listener or the reader can say to themselves, you know, that therapist really went through some things. And it's
Mhm.
nothing that I'm going to hear about in session, but they're real people. They've gone through real things and they made it out the other side. And maybe therapy isn't such a bad thing for me either.
That's powerful right there. That is powerful conversation. I think that it's really going to do the trick, because this is something that we never really think about. How do you all help yourselves? How do you all come out strong and courageous and able to help the rest of us, general population? Next question I'm wondering about is, you say that you were working as a therapist. Now you are here doing mommy duty, and you are an author. What was that like, making that transition, reinventing yourself?
Wow. Margot, I never thought in a million years that I would actually have the opportunity to write this book. Or, you know, find people that would believe in me. I had no resume to give these other authors that have so amazingly shared their stories with me and their trust.
Mhm.
Um, but, you know, I'm a practice reinventor. What that means is that in my I'm in my mid to late 30s, and in that time I have moved 36 times and have attended, I don't know, almost uh, 10 schools. And so one of the things early on in life that I really grabbed a hold of was reframing the changes happening in life. I became very comfortable with unexpected change.
Mm.
I had to in order to maintain my grounding, right? And so, as an adult, reinventing myself, I just grabbed a hold of what I learned growing up and told myself that, you know what? I am a stay at home mother, but I am not just a stay at home mother. I have
Mhm.
years of professional experience, years of personal growth and all the hard work that that entails. And I have something to offer to somebody. And I just need to get over myself and get over this funk and just step into that and make it become a reality.
There are so many people that need to hear that. I am not just a office worker. I am not just a driver. I am not just a, oh my goodness, you are just filling me up with so much awesome information. This is something that people need to take in, and it's coming from the inside out. What a
Yes.
marvelous title. It's no wonder that you had 100 submissions, and you probably are modest about that. I'm sure that once people listen to this conversation, they're going to say, "Man, I wish I could have been a part of that project. How great and awesome that is." What are you thinking along the lines for your next venture? I know that this is brand new, but you seem to be the type of author that would take a look further down the road. And do you see a sequel coming up, or how, because you're answering the call of that people are putting out in society as far as suicide and
Hmm.
the Me Too movement. Trauma is everywhere. Are you thinking about a sequel to follow up on a deeper level, or another set of therapists? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that is a good question. I've gotten bitten by the writing bug, so to speak. So I have a whole slew of other books that I would like to write, other projects I'd like to engage in. My purpose is really on a much broader scale than just focusing on this one population of people that don't typically have a platform to speak. So in this case, for this book, it was therapists. I'd
Mhm,
really like to lend a voice to many different subcultures, different groups of people that don't have a voice or
mhm.
have a misrepresented or underrepresented voice in today's society and help them tell their stories.
And you would still take it from a therapist type of approach? I'm just
You know,
wondering.
I'm not sure about that. I think I may I may just take what it is that they're sharing and then ask them what it is that they would like their
Mm,
main points distilled down to and write chapters based on those things so
mhm.
that you get a deeper level of knowing this person or this group that they belong to.
Wow. Well, that's going to be a life-changing book also. Very much so. So I'm just wondering, when we pick up the copy of From Inside Out, Therapist's Confessions of Courage, Strength, and Hope, at the end of this book, what will therapists and even those of us who are non-professionals, what will we be able to do?
Well, the structure of the book is set up so that if anyone is struggling during the reading of the first half of the book, which is the therapist stories, they can actually go to the very back of the book and by chapter content, they can actually view some resources in order to help them. So that's, you asked, what can we do with the book? Well,
Hmm.
they can actually get connected into professional services just by looking in the back of the book. So, for example, chapter 3 discusses some pretty heavy topics like um, disordered eating or um, some self-harming behaviors. And if
Hmm.
someone is reading about that and they're struggling with those same types of things, they can go back to chapter 3 in the resource section and really pick up the phone, go to a website, find some support in their area and get some immediate help. But my goal for the book, or my hope rather, is that after they read these stories, they have a second half of the book to really apply what they've reflected on and read to their own journeys. They have the opportunity to kind of flesh out and think about their own stuff, so to speak,
Hmm.
in the privacy of their own home. There are journal questions that they can answer, again, in the privacy of their own home. And at the end of the book, they'll be able to assess their readiness for change and hopefully be encouraged to seek out professional help to continue the work they started in the book.
Mm. That as and it's an overused word on today right here with me now, but that is powerful. You're not just letting people read the stories of others, but then you can in turn reflect upon your own journey, your own story, and actually get some help, get started
Yes.
on whatever the situation is. This is real eye opener, and people need to know that this book is self help. Is it up under self help, or how did you classify it?
It could be classified under self-help or, um, motivational reading.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is available on Amazon,
Okay.
and you can just search under my name, Jacqueline Rech, or for the title. But or you can go to our website, which is therapistconfessions.com.
Okay. Amazon or therapistconfessions.com.
Mm-hmm.
Jacqueline Resch, we are all better because you heeded the call to get this book out. So thank you. Much success. You are actually healing the land. I believe that. I really, really believe that. Thank you for your boldness, your courage. Um, that's all. I feel like saying more, but I don't even know what else to say. This is some powerful stuff. When we read the headlines and we understand the mindset of so many people just suffering because of things that have happened, things that are happening. Here you are with a powerful weapon, a powerful tool. So I can't thank you enough for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome, Margot. If I may, I'd just like to leave your listeners with just a little snippet. It's something that actually was inspired by your podcast at the beginning of this month.
Mm.
When you make the decision to move forward without shame, this is from chapter 7 of my book. When you make the decision to move forward without shame, you find yourself free to move forward with purpose.
Read that one more time. Just I want them to go and buy the book, but read that one more time. These are nuggets that we need to hang on to. One more time, Jacqueline.
Yes, when you make the decision to move forward without shame, you find yourself free to move forward with purpose.
I can testify. That is a very true statement. Drop the shame and you can fly. Wow. Thank you, dear lady. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, listeners. And do go to Amazon, pick up your copy. Do that today. Do that right now. And lest I ramble, I need to say thank you again, Jacqueline Resch, and thank you, listeners, because this was an excellent episode. Intentional podcast where authors, entrepreneurs, they come and they talk about their books, their products, their services. Until next time, I have to say bye bye.